want to talk about a false siren that may be calling your firm to the rocks. And that false siren is why Paro and Upwork suck for getting accounting clients. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition of Dream Firm Spotlight. My name is Tyler S. Clark, co-founder of Dream Firms, where we help you to create your dream accounting firm. And that might sound harsh for people who are just getting out and maybe have found some traction. So there is an exception to this rule, and I'd like to address it first. But the thing is, as you level up in your entrepreneurial journey as an accountant, this will be a vice. And I'll share a story with you that is very heartbreaking to hear, but it is a tale of what can happen if you are too reliant on these services. So the reason that they can be somewhat useful is when you're just getting started, there's a lot of time and energy that has to go into client development. And these companies have positioned themselves as being able to say, like, hey, we have these pools of buyers of questionable quality, and we can pair them with you. And all you have to do is create this profile, put your hourly rates up here, and we will take care of either syncing you up with them. And in certain cases, like in Paro's, we'll even do the sales process for you, and you'll simply fulfill on the work. Now, that may sound very appealing. And in certain cases, it is appealing. But here's why it actually sucks. So the first thing is these companies are very large, which means they have very large legal teams and very complex legalese. So what ends up happening is you have to realize these aren't actually your clients. They're not your clients. They are Paro's clients or they're Upwork's clients. You are simply talent, which is the term Paro uses, and there is some legalese that you should read through, or maybe we can read through together to help you to understand maybe not the best relationship in the world. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at that together here, and I will simply read to you a particular passage that jumped out to me. So here it is. So non-circumvention. Except set forth in section 6 below, client or any subsidiaries, parent companies, parent holdings, or investors related to any client shall not seek to receive or receive services from or remit complete or partial payments to talent without using Paro as the intermediary of the transaction in any otherwise circumvent or attempt to circumvent Paro's role as payment processor. Buyout fee. Okay, so if you do want to work with the client, Paro's client, not your client, how does that work? Nothing in these client terms is intended to constrain the engagement of talent directly by client, provided the terms of such engagement are in accordance with this section 6 of these client terms, subject to a client's prior written notice to Paro. B, reasonable wind down period of at least 30 days, unless otherwise negotiated by Paro, talent, and client. And C, full payment of the buyout fee defined below. Client may at any time or after the term of these client terms opt to directly engage or hire talent unless otherwise agreed upon by Paro and client within 30 days of hiring directly engaging talent. Client shall pay Paro a buyout fee if talent was introduced by Paro to client, and B, hired as an employee or otherwise engaged by client within 12 months of completion of the most recent SOW between client and talent. The buyout fee equals 25% of the talent's annualized marketplace pay rate within the most recent SOW. So, for example, if talent's rate is $75 per hour, the buyout fee shall be $75 times 2,000 billable hours. They are not your client. They are Paro's clients, and they are enforcing what looks like a non-solicitation agreement to the extreme. Now, if we jump over to Upwork, which is not as polished as Paro, and what's funny about Upwork is this is Upwork's legal. Upwork does not want you to be able to just like easily search all of their legalese. They want you to jump into all of these little things and make it really hard to understand everything that's going on here. But we don't really need to jump too much more into legalese. I just wanted to read that particular section out loud and say, be careful about signing up for these services, because you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a client from it. It's not your client. And then I'll cross-sell them into working with me directly, and we can cut out the middleman, the person who owns the client, according to the terms of service you agreed to when you signed up for the engagement. Doesn't work like that, okay? So what ends up happening is you think you have a lead gen source, and in reality, you have just become a subcontractor, which means you are not actually growing your firm. You're just having you're having a boss that is feeding you clients at a rate that they want you to work at. Okay, so be careful about that. Upwork, on the other hand, is similar to Paro, but the primary difference is Paro is at least adding a little bit more value to the equation in doing the sales process. Upwork is conditioning the buyers of services to work under an hourly engagement. Now, if you have listened to anything about pricing from me or anyone else in the space who talks about pricing and accounting services, getting away from hourly is absolutely critical to improving your firm's efficiencies and profitabilities across the board. I don't want to go too deep into this, but what high value buyers want is speed to result. Hourly is directly against, it is not incentivized to create a result faster. As an hourly seller, if you take longer, and I'm not saying you do this, but if you take longer, you make more money. The entrepreneur doesn't want it to take longer. They want it to be fast, and they want a high quality result in the process, which is why value billing, or even just a fixed rate, is such a better deal for everybody involved. There's no variance in what's getting paid. It's the same amount, and therefore we know that we're going to get something in relation to speed as opposed to just the amount of time allocated to the project. Upwork, on the other hand, when you have a profile on there, you have to list your hourly rate. And so the only clients that are coming to you are always going to say to you, how much time was spent on this project? All the work you do is permanently tied to hourly, and you can't cross-sell them. If you cross-sell them, Upwork will come after you. They will. So don't fall into the false sirens of like, this makes my journey to growing my firm easier. You are just creating a subcontract relationship with someone who is not even, they don't even give you benefits. You know what I mean? Like, you may as well go be a subcontractor with someone who gives you benefits. So please be very, 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 very careful about engaging with these. And I told you that I'd tell a story that is on the sadder side about this. So one of our clients was very successful in using Upwork. And originally I was like, oh, that actually seems like an interesting space, an interesting category. I haven't seen a lot of people like be successful. And she was pulling in pretty large scale contracts from Upwork. The problem with this is that, again, the type of people that are going through Upwork to find talent are always trying to find a better deal. That is the inherent issue with people on Upwork. And so slowly but surely over time, these larger contracts kept either trying to renegotiate rates, trying to downplay her services and ability. And over time, she lost nearly every single contract that she had secured through Upwork. And now she feels like she's scrambling to go and find other sources to be able to replace those, because it's a crutch. Because once you get used to the money that comes in from them, you think, I don't really need to work on other aspects of lead generation and the things that I could be doing to enhance and bring in clients that are mine and not someone else's. So that is just a cautionary tale of, even if you are using them right now, do not depend on them, because the clients that come from them are usually not very reliable. And on top of that, even if you do cross-sell them, you're running a risk that you're going to have to give Paro or Upwork, or the client will have to pay them $20,000 or whatever the amount is that I read earlier related to the rate that you're charging on the platform, which is absurd, right? It is absurd that we would agree to that. Yes, I know that they're providing a service and they got to get paid. But the thing is if the client wants to work with you after the fact of that term of engagement, what business is it of theirs? I don't think it's any of their business, but I don't run those companies. I only look out for the accounting space. And if you're looking for a good alternative that is in my opinion, still potentially a relatively untapped space for digital marketing and generating leads that is not predatory like Upwork and Paro. I would have you consider, and this is something I did when I was running my firm, and they were very new at the time. But one day, what my team member, who was basically an appointment setter, she would cold call the market, and she would also start using this thing called the internet. And she found this website, and she showed this website to me, and she said, "We can buy these like credits, and these people are like interested in accounting. Do you mind if I spend a little bit of time on this website and see if it helps us get more opportunities for the firm?" I was like, "How much are the credits?" He's like, "Oh, a couple bucks." I was like, "All right, like, why not? Like, let's throw 200 bucks at it and see what happens." It worked really well. And that website in its infancy was called Thumbtack. And so Thumbtack gets this reputation from a lot of accounting firms as there are only price shoppers on there. That's not true. I just literally had a client who used another version of Thumbtack. It's a different site. And he literally signed, I think it was like $5,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And he had spent $1,000 to be able to get that. So he can make $60,000 a year moving forward. And he invested $1,000 one time, and he's going to make 5x that back every month moving forward. So you can call them whatever you want, but I call that money in your firm and clients you control, and a really good value proposition being provided by these companies. So as an alternative to Paro and Upwork, look for companies that are willing to give you the opportunity to speak to leads that they have generated. And Thumbtack is one of the ones that I am happy to say is pretty good, hit or miss, but you put a couple $100 in it, it's pretty hard if you have decent sales training and a good value proposition that you're not going to make significantly more than that in return when you just factor in the lifetime value of a client in the accounting space is 7.5 years. So that's a long time to be able to make those dollars back as long as you can deliver on your promises and services. But long story short, do not fall prey to companies with complex legalese and terms of services and suggest that they are getting you clients when in fact they're getting themselves clients. And ultimately they're using you as labor to fulfill on those and have no intentions of letting them become your clients without paying them or letting a full year lapse, in which case the relationship is completely gone at that point. So that's what I've got for you today. Well, please feel free to grow your firms with powerful websites, but make sure to read those terms of service and know what you're signing up for. And above all else, insulate yourself from being dependent on any singular source for lead generation, because that is how you diversify your risk, future-proof your firm, and are able to create a highly profitable asset both now and in the future. My name is Tyler S. Clark. Thank you so much for your most precious resource. Remember that only you can create your dream firm, but we are here to help you every single step of the way. Have a fantastic rest of your workday, and I will see you on the next Dream Firm Spotlight.